Good morning, everyone. Apologies again that I am not at my desk and I'm improvising on the road. What can we do? Such is life, but we're trying to squeeze in as much as we can, so it's still better that we are able to have the program, even if it means I'm in the car, rather than not have it at all. So firstly, I want to wish each and every one of you a big, big mazel tov. It's that you all are celebrating this Shabbos a simcha which is going to be simply sublime. The inauguration, the introduction of a new Sefer Torah into our community, something that a communal Sefer Torah has not been dedicated for, I think, some 15, 20 years. And it is really, really a milestone in our community. This was something that was undertaken during COVID and at a time of tremendous darkness, when there was every reason to be exceptionally downtrodden and rather depressed and pessimistic. And yet that was a time when our community were able to band together and to create something transcendent in the writing of a new Sefer Torah. So let me share with you why it is so significant, the Torah itself. Okay, so the story is told about Rebbe Kiva, one of our greatest sages, and one of the greatest sages certainly of the oral Torah. And he was lived at the time of the just on the cusp of the destruction of the Second Temple. The Romans were in control, and they forbade they forbade the learning, the public learning of the Torah. And Rebbe Kiva disobeyed their commands, their edicts, and he publicly taught the Torah. Excuse me 1 minute. And one of the other rabbis, seeing Rabbi Akiva teaching Torah publicly, he confronted Rabbi Akiva and he said to him, "Do you not know what you're doing? You're putting your life at risk. Do you not understand? If the Romans catch you teaching the Torah publicly, you're going to be killed." Rebbe Kiva says, let me give you a little analogy, and then perhaps you'll understand why it is that I have made this conscious choice to teach Torah. And we know that ultimately it cost Rebbe Kiva his very life. We read about it on Yom Kippur with the 10 martyrs. He said, there once was there were fish that were swimming around in this pond. And a fox came to the water and he noticed that there were fishermen with big nets that came to the pond and started to put their nets into the pond. So the fox screamed to the fish, "Quick, quick, fish, come onto dry land. If you come onto dry land, then I'll be able to save you from the nets of the fishermen." So the fish turned to the fox and said, silly fox, do you not understand and appreciate that if I come onto dry land, a fish out of water cannot survive 1 moment? I may be in danger when I am in the water from the nets of the fishermen, but out of water, I cannot live. Water is my lifeblood. Friends, Rebbe Kiva said, Ein mayim ela Torah. We know that water is a symbol of life, the life force, and the Torah is our lifeblood for the Jewish people. If we think about 1938, and we think about one of the first things that happened at the time of Kristallnacht, I know from my family's own history that on that very night, 1,000 synagogues, 1,000 shuls in Germany were destroyed, burnt to the ground, nothing left. They took the Sefer Torah, they took them out and they burnt them publicly. They took the Talmud, they took the Jewish books, and they burnt thousands of them publicly. Why? Why would they take their rage out on an inanimate object? It's done no harm. It's insignificant. It's parchment. Friends, sometimes it is precisely our enemies that are able to teach us the treasures and the preciousness of what we have in life. And that was precisely what happened. The Germans were well aware that as much as the Jewish people have kept the Torah has kept the Jewish people. And they wanted to break the soul, the spirit of the Jewish people. They recognized that if we destroy, if we burn their Torah, if we show them that there is no morals, there is no ethics, there is no God, that will break them, and that will be the beginning of their downfall and end. They were right in the sense that without the Torah, we cannot survive one moment like the fish out of water. But they were wrong in that they would never be able to truly get their hands on the Torah, because the Torah is not an inanimate book. It's not an object. It's not tangible. There is a scroll, but the Torah lives in each and every one of us. It's a tradition that is passed from mother to daughter, from father to son, from grandfather to grandchild. It's passed across from generation to generation. We have an unbroken chain throughout the generations going back to Sinai. It is something that is simply untouchable, unbreakable. And the only question remains is if we want to be the next link in that chain. The chain will always continue. The question is whether we are going to be a part of it. Us writing a new Torah, us commissioning that Torah for our community, it is a clarion call for each and every one of us to be able to play our role, to be that next link in the chain. Please God, we should all be able to dance on Shabbat as we inaugurate the new Sefer Torah, and be able to dance with the Torah in our hearts throughout our lives. Wishing you all well, a Shabbat Shalom, and a big, big Mazel Tov to the whole of the Woodside Park family and community. Take care.